Hello,
Okay.
everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Wendy Myers of MyersDetox.com. And today we have a special guest, my friend Brian Richards of SaunaSpace.com. And Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Wendy.
Yeah, and so we're going to talk today about infrared saunas, EMF, how infrared saunas stimulate mitochondria and energy production to help detox you. So thanks so much for joining us. I do these Facebook Lives every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm so excited to have Brian on to answer all of your questions about infrared saunas and the differences between far infrared and near infrared. And we're going to answer all of your questions. So first, Brian, let's talk a little bit about Sauna Space saunas and what sets them apart from some of the other saunas out there on the market.
Yeah. Number one is the technology we use is incandescent. So we're using incandescent heat lamps. It's actually man's oldest light technology. It's actually the original lighting technology that's been used for healing, for therapies, for almost 100 years now. That's the core of our product. So number one difference is we're using incandescent lamps. They actually look like this right here. This is our single light product that's mounted onto a monitor arm, but you get it. It's a 250 watt red filtered incandescent heat lamp. It is a full spectrum light source, just like the sun. But we also call it near infrared sauna. Most people call this a near infrared sauna. And that's because the primary wavelength emission, about 40% of the wavelengths emitted are near infrared. So that's kind of what sets us apart from most of the other infrared saunas that are out there. They're far infrared. And people are often more familiar with that. So the difference is everything, though. With near infrared, we get the majority of the wavelengths that also we get from sunlight. And so this is the magical light band. It's not so much far infrared. It's more near infrared in terms of what's called light therapy. So light activates healing in our cells. Sauna is not just for heat. It can also be for light therapy as well. So like all saunas, the incandescent heat lamps with the majority near infrared wavelengths give us the detox. They give us this powerful heat, so we sweat really well. But we also get this photobiomodulation stuff that people are more and more aware of. It's also called red light therapy or near infrared light therapy. It has DNA repair components, regenerative effects. It's boosts your cell metabolism, has all these inflammatory mediation. It's really a cacophony of healing effects in the cells. It's in every cell of the body, and again, we only get that from near infrared. So that's a key difference. Beyond that, we're trying to recreate the ancestral sauna experience at Sauna Space. So we're trying to, we're trying to get this pure experience where there's no man-made EMF. The light is closely mimicking that of sunlight. It's an incandescent light source like the sun. And then the vibe inside in the sauna that you have, our core sauna, the pocket sauna, is really just, it's kind of ancestral, natural, native. So that's kind of what sets us apart. We have this modern approach and this modern design, but we're absolutely recreating the original sauna experience in terms of light, quality of light, the heat, and using shielding principles to protect us from the EMF problems that come with electrical devices.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that is a big problem in a lot of saunas today. People are going into a sauna to try to detox and try to improve their health, yet they're exposing themselves to EMF or electromagnetic fields. Talk about what EMFs are and the problems in some saunas with EMF emissions.
So everything, vibrates at some level. Electromagnetism is a fundamental part of our universe. But there's good types of EMF and bad types. And really the difference is man-made and the natural. So the natural frequencies, that of the sun, that of the earth, the natural magnetic field of the earth, these are things that we've evolved to benefit from. We're used to it. We're not used to this man-made stuff. So we're talking about anything that's electrical and also wireless stuff. So Bluetooth, cell phone signal, radio signal, TV signal, all this wireless communication in the air. Those are all electric fields. And then from certain sources, we have magnetic fields. So when it's man-made, it's problematic. The studies are increasingly showing that it's a nervous system stressor. So we have the Ramazzini study, I believe it's called, a massive study that they did in Italy with animals over many years. Clearly shows that non-thermal, non-ionizing radiation can be damaging. And it's all about what was natural, what we're used to. So we want the natural frequencies and the natural power levels, which you kind of get from the sun, you get from the incandescent lamp. But if you get too much power, or you get frequencies we're not used to, like cell phone is microwave frequencies, or large magnetic fields, they cause so many problems in the body. They disrupt all of our electromagnetic systems, everything from our mitochondria to our cells, to causing real full-blown disease and being linked to full-blown disease, neurological issues, headaches, sleep problems. Some people are EHS, electro hypersensitive, so they're so sensitive they can't even work. They can't even be at a computer like you or I are at now. And so it's increasingly a big problem as we move into 5G. We have more and more EMF all the way around us, and it's not just a thing that's on the side. Now it's becoming a central aspect of our poor health and of our chronic disease that we're having. It's a big factor now, big contributing factor. So Sauna Space has dealt with EMF mitigation, EMF protection in a way no other sauna company has. When you look for saunas and you search online for low EMF saunas, there are many companies that claim low EMF. All of these companies are talking about magnetic field. So magnetic field is in milligauss. That's only half of the story. The other half is electric field. So I actually have an electric field meter here I can show you. This is the GeoVitals. It's a very sensitive grounded electric field meter. So electric field is measured in volts, or volts per meter. So it's a different meter, and it's a different field. So it's a different thing. And we want to make sure that we're not getting exposed to either one. We don't want magnetic field. And there are some far infrared companies that have managed to lower their magnetic field rating. Incandescent lamps are already very low magnetic field. So 2 milligauss at this switch right here, if you can see that right on the board. But there's no magnetic field that extends beyond the guard at all. So we're not being influenced by the magnetic field. But the thing nobody talks about, and really only we've dealt with, is electric field. So here I'm going to measure electric field. If I measure the bulb, let's see if we can see this in the camera. When it's on, you can hear how it's clicking. You can't see the screen very well, but we're getting about 100 volts per meter off the bulb. And if you measure the outside, you probably can't see that either. It's hard to read on the camera, but it's 0, and it's 0. And here on the panel, it's 0. Everywhere it's 0. And what that means is even though there's an electric field coming with the electricity powering this light bulb, none of that is influencing my body. None of that is increasing my body's voltage. So that's what we've done with our light panel. So there's no electric field, no magnetic field influence, 0 on the user. That's why we can claim, and show here through empirical measurement that Sauna Space is 0 EMF. And that's kind of what we've been doing for a while now with our light panels and our light panel technology. So we're using near infrared, this full spectrum near infrared light source for a better therapy with light and heat together, with a lot of light therapy. And we're ensuring that the user is protected from the EMF that comes from the electricity.
And I love Sauna Space saunas. I've been using them for years. I highly recommend your products to every one of my clients. And you now have a Faraday cage where you have. Can you tell us about that? How you have the Sauna Space saunas inside an EMF protection canvas?
Yeah. So essentially, what I've described so far is there's no internal EMF. Sauna Space doesn't bring any EMF to the party, but there's nonetheless EMF all around us. There's electric fields from our dirty electricity, Bluetooth. Primarily, our cell phone signal is the worst. It's just so high power. Where have you been where you can't get a cell phone signal? And so that's that's a stress on our body all day long, 24 hours a day. And it does affect us. So it's also undesirable to have that in the sauna. So we have invented the world's first Faraday cage sauna. So the entire enclosure, our signature pocket sauna, it's a trapezoidal tent with a curtain on it. We've created this EMF shielding liner system that's in the cover and the curtain, and it's actually underneath too. So all 6 sides are an electric field Faraday cage protecting the user from external EMFs coming in. And you can measure this. We'll have a video up very soon on saunaspace.com. But you'll, you know, the way we got to this was we're not measuring the air or measuring the surfaces around us. We're using these fancy body voltage meters to measure our body voltage, and you can measure it outside the sauna, the new Faraday cage sauna, and then step inside, and the body voltage drops to 0. It's dramatic. It's incredible. And we're also measuring the body voltage due to the RF in the air. So we're ensuring that we're attenuating the RF. So the RF exposure is almost 0. It's very low. And then the low frequency electric field exposure is 0. And then combine that with there being no EMF stress from the product, the inside of the new upgraded pocket sauna, the new sauna with the Faraday cage liner, we're in a pre-1888 space. We're doing sauna as our ancestors did, and we're under the full spectrum light. You know, just like the sun. It's really ideal. It's you know, we can't quantify it yet, but certainly your detox is better. Your parasympathetic response is better. Your mitochondrial healing with the light therapy. It's all optimal in an EMF-free space.
I love that you say it's pre-1888. That's great. I'm just trying to get to pre-1999. So I'd be happy with just that at this point. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the difference between far infrared saunas and near infrared saunas, because that's usually the most common question I get from people. So what are some of the differences there?
Yeah, it's a good thing to clarify. So number one, difference of wavelength. I think I could show you on this chart here. So if you look at this chart, this is the light therapy is here in the near infrared. It's highlighted in blue. And then water begins to absorb light right here at 1100 nanometers. So this is all near infrared too. And then we get into mid infrared, excuse me, from 1500 to 3000 nanometers, which is way off the chart. At 3000 nanometers and greater, way here, out here, you have far infrared. So it's the very low energy infrared. It is only heating the body. It's not providing the special photobiomodulation or what's called near infrared light therapy healing. This is only coming from near infrared. It's actually only coming from a portion of near infrared that's 600 to 1000 nanometers. It also includes red light. So it's also called red light therapy. The near infrared wavelengths, though, they penetrate deeper. So the most effective light therapy comes from the near infrared in this really narrow band right here. So number one, yes, with the near infrared sauna, we get this light therapy. This is a crucial aspect of what we got from the sun, and a crucial, you know, a primary way of healing our bodies is leveraging the mitochondrial systems to heal the body. And there's no reason why we can't do that in the sauna, but we need to use near infrared light in the sauna. So you have to have the right light technology. That's why we use incandescent here. So we get the near infrared. But there's another big difference between near and far infrared, and that's what I mentioned here about water absorbing light. So I think I have another. Oh, yeah, I do. So this is a chart that's called the water absorption chart. You can see these. You can search this online. This is a very old, well understood concept. This is the water absorption spectrum, or excuse me, this is the light absorption spectrum of water. So water absorbs different wavelengths differently. And you can see this on our sauna therapy page up close. But essentially, notice how the chart climbs as you increase your wavelength. So near infrared is right here in red. Let's see if we can move this closer. These are the wavelengths these are the near infrared wavelengths. These are the wavelengths that penetrate really deeply. See how there's big valleys? Near infrared wavelengths are not really well absorbed by water because it's at the beginning of water's absorption spectrum. So these wavelengths have been shown to penetrate up to 9 inches into human tissue, but typically at least several inches on average. Once you get out of near infrared, so near infrared ends here, and then there's mid infrared, and then far infrared is here in purple. See how high the graph is, and it's above 1. So none of these wavelengths here in the far infrared, none of them penetrate deeply. It's it's a function of water absorption. It's an undeniable aspect of water physics, and our bodies are 70% water or whatever. Water's all over our body. So these far infrared wavelengths never get in deep. So a far infrared heat is a conductive heat. It's heating the surface, and it's basically heating you from the outside in. A near infrared sauna, due to this deep penetration, because it's not getting absorbed well by water, gives you radiant heat. So these wavelengths from the incandescent bulb are on average penetrating many inches into the body, and they're heating you from the inside out. They're immediately hitting your core body. So you get more efficient heating and a faster sweat response in a near infrared sauna. You don't have to wait 20 minutes for that heat to get in deep. That heat is immediately getting in deep because of the wavelength they're using, because we're using near infrared. So that's like one of the primary differences between near and far infrared is near infrared is radiant heat, and the majority of the incandescent lamp is near infrared. So it's a better way to heat the body. And while we're heating it, we're also carrying in these light therapy activating wavelengths where we're activating the mitochondrial healing system. So it's two major aspects where it is better. And then through good product design, a lot of field testing, we've removed the EMF component from being an issue at all. So it really is a better way to do sauna with near infrared.
Yeah. And most disease is a function of mitochondrial dysfunction. And so it's very, very important to feed the mitochondria light, obviously nutrients and other things. I talk about detoxing the mitochondria, metals that cause fatigue, and using an infrared sauna helps us sweat out all these toxins, all these chemicals, all these metals that can interfere in the body's mitochondrial and various metabolic functions in the body. But more importantly, for many people that don't have time to get sun or in areas where they don't get adequate sunlight or intense sunlight, it's important for them to sit in front of incandescent bulbs like this to help charge up the mitochondria to improve their functioning and produce more energy, correct?
Yeah, that was our quotidian experience in the sun every day. We were naked. We were charging our mitochondria with near infrared. We had nervous system relaxation in the evening. We certainly were in the shade in the middle of the day, but we got AM and PM sunlight, and we did passive sweating because we lived in the tropics. You know, we were sweating every day, so we were naturally detoxing every day. And it's, you know, that's why I love that you focus on this so much. It's such a it's such a essential aspect of healing, is getting these toxins out of the body. We're exposed to so many now that we never were before, and we combine that with this modern lifestyle that's totally unnatural, unhealthy. So we're not charging up our mitochondria. We're not getting these toxins out. We're getting exposed to more than ever. We're not doing what we used to. So it really is a primary problem, but there's a simple solution. That's, getting back to passive sweating, getting back to detox, to near infrared light exposure every day. Hopefully protecting ourselves from some EMF. That's kind of our new product. But, even without our new external EMF shielding product, you've been using our main sauna for many years.
Yeah.
That's what I use to heal, and a very bricolage version, and the first one I made. It works really well, just using 4 250-watt red filtered lamps with some EMF protection in an enclosed space, and doing a daily detoxification practice.
Yes, very important. I can't stress this enough, that the people that are going to be living the healthiest lives are those that are using infrared saunas at least a few times a week. I mean, it's incredibly important to, charge up your mitochondria, to heal your immune system, to kill off pathogens. I mean, there's so many different benefits, including detoxification, of course, to using an infrared sauna. So we're going to take some of your questions now. So any questions you have about detoxification, infrared saunas, near infrared, far infrared, whatever questions that are burning in your mind, please leave a comment and we are going to answer your questions. So Brian, can you see the questions?
Yeah, the comments.
Okay. Yeah, so let me go over some of the first ones. So any thoughts on the portable infrared saunas where your head is out of the sauna?
Yeah, this sauna bag style where the head and the arms stick out. That's a far infrared sauna. So it's heat only sauna. And I can't speak for every model, but the model that I know, a model that was measured like 65,000 millivolts. So very high voltage. You want that to be like close to zero. It does vary sauna to sauna and model to model, but they typically are very high in electric field rating, pretty high in magnetic field rating. But more important than that, there's no near infrared. These these are far infrared saunas. So there does appear to be some convenience by just sitting in the sauna, you know, with your head, you know, just a little bag that you can pull out of your closet. But you need to detox your brain. You know, all the glyphosate that people have and the heavy metal toxins that they have in their brain. You need light therapy. You need detoxification in your brain, and I would argue in your arms as well. Sauna is all about being a transformative experience that you enter into wholly. It's not something that you piecemeal and like do on your arm or do on a portion of your body. Your whole body needs it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not a fan of where your head's out of the sauna. And a lot of those saunas that are inexpensive, but they're only giving you convection heat, like they're heating up your body, but you're not really getting that infrared benefit. There might be like a little bit, but there's not really very much. So you're getting hot and you're sweating, but you're not getting that infrared rays and the benefits of that, which is the whole point. So buyer beware. So Aviva, thanks for joining us. So if someone has off the chart chemical levels via the GPL tox test, how many daily sauna therapy sessions might it take to notice symptom improvement? From what I've read, it takes time and obviously won't be immediate. So what are your recommendations, just general? I think most people have high toxin levels unless they have, you know, really good detox pathways. So a lot of people have, you know, chronic low-grade metal levels, and they have lots of chemicals, glyphosate. What is your recommendation on frequency of sauna use?
You start out in near infrared sauna. You start out with 20 or 30-minute session once a day. That's what you want to work into this, and not, you don't want to have too powerful of a detoxification. You want to do this slowly and safely and gradually. But you can eventually work up to 1 hour sessions twice a day. I know there are some intense detoxification protocols that are doing that. That would be the maximum use with the near infrared sauna. As far as results, how fast can you get them? You know, everybody wants that answer. That answer is so variable. It's different with everybody. But I wrote I reposted an article from the Townsend newsletter that highlights or that discusses detoxification, that protocols that were done with the World Trade Center rescue workers. And they use the L. Ron Hubbard sauna protocol, which is 2 wet saunas a day combined with niacin. And I think it was a 3 or a 4 month protocol, and they reduced their petrochemical toxin levels in their blood like by 90%. Dramatic detoxification that went on. And by the way, that wasn't with infrared sauna. That was with wet sauna, with heat sauna. So people get this confusion. Oh, well, far infrared sauna is gonna, you know, pull out the toxins better than a wet sauna or near infrared. You know, what does better at detoxing? The source of the heat doesn't matter. If we raise cell temperature 3 degrees, and we do so passively, not in the treadmill, and the body's in a parasympathetic state, the passive sweating that occurs from raising core temperature is what gives us the detox at the cell level, at the whole body level, you know, the systemic level. We can do that in a hot tub too. We can do that in a wet sauna. The question becomes, what's the most effective way to heat the body? That's what we talked about before. I think with near infrared, we have a more effective way. But it's not that near or far or mid or wet saunas or the sun detoxifies you any better. It's, did you raise the cell temperature by several degrees for a period of minutes? And usually in the whole body, you really only need to sweat passively in the sauna for like 5 or 10 minutes, and you've gotten a really awesome detox response already. So again, it's not about the method we use the body. It's have we achieved that core passive sweating, that core temperature increase, and we can get the detox results we need. And we get those results faster the more we do per week. And longer duration sessions also have been shown to be improvement. Those are all these finished studies. There's so many of them now where they show reduced risk of stroke, of heart attack, increased longevity, all the things that you mentioned. Like it's the most powerful thing you could possibly do. It's the most powerful thing to reduce all-cause mortality. It's just getting in there and having the discipline of using it every day. The way you detox is less relevant than actually doing it every day. I think an important aspect of that is ensuring it's convenient and safe and fun to use. And so that's kind of a different approach that we take here. But if people get obsessed with what's the most effective, and the most effective thing is to actually do it. People are not doing it enough. They're not doing any sauna at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have a question from Susan Clemens. So I thought far infrared was better for pulling out mold and heavy metals. Would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's kind of what I was referring to before. What pulls heavy metals out is to create a detoxification response in the cell. So you heat the cell up by several degrees for a period of minutes. When you do that, and then the body is passively sweating, the sweat excises the toxins out of the body in the least energetic fashion. They just showed in like a 2015 or 16 bus study that for the first time ever, you can sweat out mercury. So what we see is the more we study sweat and elimination systems, the sweating can get out almost everything. And when you look at sweating and you look at the Hubbard studies on the World Trade Center rescue workers versus someone sweating on a treadmill, you see that when you sweat on a treadmill and you're jacked up in a fight or flight response, all of your energy is going to the locomotion and the blood and or excuse me, the muscles and the lungs. The cellular energy is not being used for repair or for detoxification. We need to be sweating passively. But if we're sweating passively and we can heat up the body enough, whether it's near and far infrared doesn't matter. The difference between near and far infrared being better at pulling out mold and heavy metals is a function of how well it heats your body. And I argue due to word absorption, clearly near infrared heats you better. If you can sit there and sweat passively for 5 or 10 minutes and get to that passive sweating faster, then you will do better with near infrared in terms of a sweat response. And if it's, again, something that you can do 3 times a week and maintain that for many months, you will get those heavy metals out. Absolutely. I mean, I've experienced it. So many of our customers experienced it. Christina Wise is kind of one of our famous customers. She had terrible heavy metal poisoning, and she actually won our sauna at one of the Bulletproof conferences many years ago. And she got it right when she got diagnosed with heavy metal poisoning. And so she had the diagnosis of heavy metal poisoning, and she used our sauna for every day, probably 7 days a week for 2 years, and had a dramatic recovery. Just, amazing. So happy for her. It does work.
It is amazing the stories you hear when people start detoxing and they start using an infrared sauna, and they're fatigued, they're brain fog, they're not well, they might have autoimmune or other types of health diagnosis. And after using a sauna for a year, 2 years, 3 years, it's just amazing how they come around and how their health and their energy levels and their moods and everything improves. The benefits there's so many of them.
Yeah, it's again, you focus on it every day. That's what you do every day. That's what we do here. I think there's other things you need to do in your life to go back to natural lifestyle approaches, diet and lifestyle choices, certainly. But as a single thing that you can do for 20 minutes a day and have all of these benefits, detox, mitochondrial healing, it's the structuring of water in our cells, which is, a very important biological concept. Just so many other things, nervous system relaxation. The biggest bang for your buck and the most multitasking healing tool, I would argue, is the sauna space and sitting in there and sweating passively, in the comfort of your home. You don't need to go somewhere. You don't need to pay someone to do a sauna at the gym or something, but it is something you need to do every day. It does take time and takes that discipline. It's not a pill or a shot. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yes. Yeah, I can't stress that enough. Detox is a lifestyle. It's not something you do for a month and, oh, you're done. It's a lifestyle you add to your already healthy regimen, like you eating healthy food and taking supplements and exercising. So Wes Shepherd, I use your sauna every day and love it. I've been using it for 3 months daily, and I found that on the towel under where I sit, there's often lines of black, brown, gray, and greenish sweat. Had seen this before. Can you tell me more about it? Go away. I'm also on Wendy's program, which is the Myers Detox Protocol.
Yeah, you need to use our products completely untreated. So you're recommended to use a towel, and then use the towels to collect the sweat. The sauna sweat is very caustic. It has a lot of toxins in it. So you can keep your sauna looking like new for really forever if you use toxins to, excuse me, use towels to collect your toxins. So you put a towel on the stool and a towel on the floor, and then you remove the towels after use, and wash the towels. You'll find in, you know, some of these like cancer clinics where they have saunas and they're doing sauna every day, that they have to replace the floorboards because the people sweat on the saunas, and the toxins, the sweat is so caustic with the heavy metals in it that it just rots out everything. If you want to contact us, it's you know, it's sales@saunaspace.com, or call us up. We, you know, on the phone any business day. We'll take care of you. We'll fix that problem for you.
So Blaze Becker, he's on my Facebook Lives every week. Thanks so much for joining us, Blaze. So he has the new Zero EMF Oasis sauna from Sauna Space, and he loves it. So thanks for joining us. And so anyone, if you have any questions whatsoever about infrared saunas or detoxification, don't hesitate to ask Brian, who's the CEO of saunaspace.com. So Jennifer Jensen, is sauna therapy effective when detoxing lead?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Lead is a toxic metal. I think, I don't know if you could sweat out lead or if that's excreted in other ways. I'd have to look that up, but yes, if you go on to saunaspace.com, you read some of the customer stories, or if you just ask us, we can, you know, email you some of the customer reviews that we have. There are so many on different metals. The metal that's used for MRIs, I forget the radioisotope that they use, gadolinium. Mm-hmm. People report, you know, after using a Sauna Space, like tasting metal in their mouth when they get out, or you talk about the sweat being very caustic. Also, having very odorous armpit sweat, and you know, just the sweat in general being very odorous. That's the metals in there, and that's the petrochemicals in there. Don't get too focused on one thing. What is it going to do one thing, but not do the other thing? The body wants these toxins out, whether it's this metal or that metal, or even a biological metal that's not properly in its cofactor site. It's a free radical. It wants to get rid of these foreign bodies that are in the cell. So chemicals, metals, it doesn't care what it is. It might be lead, it might be mercury, it might be aluminum. It's going to get it out in the intelligent detoxification approach that it has built in if we heat up the cell, and the body's in a relaxed state, so it's not in a fight or flight state, and that includes lead, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Infrared saunas will detox lead, including so many dozens of metals and chemicals. We excrete so many toxins through the sweat. It's one of the best ways to detox your body. Absolutely. And so, Chris, let's see. So what is the difference between your cloth versus a cedar sauna?
From a design standpoint, it's much more portable and convenient. It's 55 pounds. It's lightweight. You can pop it up like that. You want it out of the way, you can break it down, put it in your closet. You can let your friend borrow it. You know, it goes with you elsewhere. It's not like a big imposing box, big 500-pound box that dominates the room. And I also think, you know, for some people, they say, well, the glass, I want the glass door, I want the cabinet, I want the luxury of that. I think real luxury is what we can't have anymore. And that's being in a zero EMF environment. That's being EMF free. None of these cabinet saunas can offer that. And more than that, I think that there's like a native natural vibe inside our sauna. When you close it up, there's no Bluetooth enabled stereo speakers. There's no track lighting. There's this glorious red near infrared light that's so entrancing and so activating. But the rest is simple. I think the sauna is all about purity of experience. There shouldn't be anything to the eye that's distracting. It should be more or less sensory deprivation, other than this one thing, this parasympathetic stimulus. So other than that, we don't want distractions, and that I think includes visual distractions and also EMF stress. And that's something that we offer in our product. It's just more convenient, more modern. It's people really dig it, even though it's less it's just more lightweight. It's more minimalist than a cabinet.
Yes, and so Jennifer is asking, will your company make a portable unit? What do people who are on the road or live in a small space do? Didn't you make a portable unit?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, that's what this is. I keep showing this is not a demo. Let me see if I can turn this a little bit. This is not a demo device. This is actually a single lamp product. It's called the single light panel. So here it's mounted to my monitor arm. You can see it's clamped to my desk. So I use it kind of as a healing space heater at the office. And it kind of counteracts the blue light damage and the screen damage. But I have a really interesting story about this, and you can see this on saunaspace.com too. This paleo boss lady, her name is Diane V. Capaldi. She was at Paleo Effects as well. She had the BAM van. She's an MS survivor. Been dealing with chronic MS for many years. She's one of Dr. Terry Walls's patients. She travels around in a car. She didn't have room for the whole Sauna Space sauna. So she's only been using this one 250 watt shielded Sauna Space lamp while traveling around for targeted therapy. So you use it 1 to 2 feet away from the exposed body part, 10, 20, 30 minutes or so. Unless you're doing the head, you limit to 10 minutes, but you can do that many times a day. And so she's doing it on her feet and on her gut and on her head every day. And she's had a systemic amelioration of her body temperature control problems. She gets too hot and too cold. It's one of her symptoms of MS. And she's basically had that whole issue go away only by using a single lamp. So that's pretty dramatic to have that full body response just by using a single lamp. And in fact, she told me she let her friend borrow it for a month, and her body temperature regulation symptoms came back. So when you're on the go and you can't take the whole sauna with you, you can take this with you. It has an optional travel bag that comes with it. People put it in their carry-on luggage and they take it on the plane, or certainly in the car with you on the go, as well as just whenever you're traveling. It is something that does have a significant beneficial effect. Whenever I travel, whenever I go to any of our health conferences or anything, I always bring it with me, just to heal a little bit at the end of the day and give you a little get up and go in the morning. The single lamp protocol, by the way, used to be in chiropractic schools as a core part of the curriculum up until maybe 30 or 40 years ago. So this is a very old practice to use a heat lamp close to the body for some localized repair and healing.
Yes, my mother was having issues with chronic bladder infections, and she used your single bulb light in her bladder area a few times a day, and it helped kill off the infection when antibiotics weren't working. She was really frustrated. I kept telling her, use the infrared bulb, and it worked amazingly well. She was really surprised. And so now she's taking my advice.
It does. It slowly but surely grows on you, and then you suddenly look at it and you're like, this is working. And it's working because I'm using it, every day or several times a week. And it's something that we had every day. It's really unfortunate that we went away from incandescent lamps. When we went to LEDs and fluorescent bulbs, we removed the near infrared, and the infrared, the healing component of, that you didn't see, but was being emitted by the incandescent bulb. So we replaced this healing light with all this junk, damaging light that now we just use it everywhere every day. It's really a tragedy.
So Manja asked, are there any health conditions for which sauna is not advisable?
Well, you always have to consult your healthcare provider. Certainly, I am not that, and I can't, purport to give medical advice. I am just making the saunas here and building the saunas. But having said that, I've talked to probably 20,000 people over many years, and surely, I assume you've had a similar experience. Everybody benefits from the sauna. It's a question of how compromised they are. If they're very weak with a lot of chronic illness and a lot of physical infirmity, they need to start really slow. A great example are those in the Dr. Wall's community, Diane Capaldi, who I mentioned before, and others dealing with neuropathic issues and heat sensitivity and tachycardia. People, their doctors tell them, don't heat up your head and you can't do sauna, you're too weak. Well, you can do it. It's just, you need to do it really slowly. Some people start out with 5 minutes. Yes. And they'll keep the curtain open. Our pocket sauna that has a 4-light panel has 3 switches on it, and you can control the level of the lamps. So some people will start out with 2 lamps, maybe even 1 lamp, or they'll keep the top lamp off so there's no direct heat to the head. And they'll start out very slowly. I've had customers who had to do such a reduced protocol for a month, maybe 2 months. It does slowly work, but you just judge that when you first try it. And if you are, really weak or you have real issues, then you just start really slowly. But slowly you reactivate the mitochondria, slowly and safely you detox, which, by the way, I think that's another benefit of near-infrared sauna is the light therapy makes the detox less stressful. It makes it more effective. It makes it more manageable. So it's very important to do this near-infrared light therapy while we're doing detox. And I think I see that, from our main customer base are people with problems and with sensitivities, chemical, EMF, and weakness. And our product's been such a awesome success for folks due to, the ability to ease into it and the design that accommodates that. As far as other contraindications, it is contraindicated for pregnant women. We don't have any, research really on that. And it's contraindicated for small children as well. But beyond that, everyone everywhere pretty much can use it.
Yes. And so definitely children under 7 are not supposed to use a sauna because their ability to regulate their body temperature and cool down isn't as developed as someone who's older than 7, correct?
Yeah, the typical recommendation is definitely children under the age of 5 shouldn't really use it. Technically, we recommend anyone under the age of 18 is supervised. It's a personal choice. Little children go under the sun and they can heat up. It's a matter of duration. They can't regulate their body temperature well. They're really small. But I have a baby who's only 18 months old, and I do take him in my sauna for about 2 minutes. I have a 6-year-old son. I let him get in sauna for 5 or 10 minutes, and they enjoy it. But certainly that's a personal choice, But other than that, the very, very young children and again, pregnant women, it's really everyone benefits from this. We all have mitochondria in ourselves. We all have toxins that we need to get out. And if we're careful about use, particularly for the folks with issues, this will positively impact your health.
So Missy Fletcher has a question. Is niacin safe for someone with mold and high blood pressure? And another question I have that I think a lot of people have, do you recommend niacin therapy and using niacin when you're using the sauna to increase its benefits?
I actually don't. Dr. Lawrence Wilson, who's kind of, the biggest proponent of this near-infrared sauna back in the day, he wrote the sauna therapy book that I actually, read and discovered all this a long time ago. He doesn't recommend it, and there's a good reason why. Near-infrared light, naturally, through mitochondrial stimulation, the near-infrared light causes nitric oxide release out of the cells. So we get the nitric oxide cycle rolling. That's the whole point of taking niacin. So in the L. Ron Hubbard protocol that I mentioned before, you dose the sauna user, I think after or whatever, before, with high dose niacin. And the idea is you get this nitric oxide cycle running, which has all of these, it's such a crucial metabolic aspect of like every part of our body, the nitric oxide cycle. So near-infrared light naturally causes that release. When you use near-infrared light to do sauna, you don't need niacin. You already have the nitric oxide release and the vasodilation and all of the nitric oxide systems are already activated just from the light. So we actually don't recommend the use of niacin at all in near-infrared sauna. You don't need it. You have the near-infrared light.
Yes. And so let's talk about, is a traditional sauna also therapeutic, like if you don't have another option? That's a very common question that people have. There's a traditional Finnish or Swedish dry
Mhm.
sauna at people's gyms. What are the benefits, the differences between that traditional type of sauna and an infrared sauna?
So that's a good question. Again, it's all about heating up the body. So if we look at the Localized, all these Finnish male studies, or I guess they've been done on females as well, but they seem to always be done in Finland. But these long-term studies on focusing on reduction of risk of one disease through sauna use, we see all-cause mortality is reduced, reduction of stroke, heart attack, reduction of Alzheimer's incidence, reduction of Parkinson's, like so many things. How can this be? Well, almost all of those studies were done with a wet sauna. They weren't even done with infrared. Now, there are a lot of studies that show that infrared is good for us, but why? And I think we need to differentiate heating the body up, which causes detox, and then the near infrared light, which is mitochondrial stimulation or photobiomodulation, light activating biological systems. So a Finnish sauna is great. And that's what people use for a long time. Certainly before electricity, that was the sauna of a traditional sauna, the steam sauna, the sweat lodge, the Native American sweat lodges. This was the classic sauna that humans used, other than the sunlight itself, which is the original sauna. But now that we have electricity and we have the incandescent bulb, it presents an opportunity to get more of the original form of sauna therapy, which was heat and light together. So the Finnish sauna doesn't have the light therapy that comes from near infrared light. And people with physical illness, people who are very weak or neuropathic, they find the Finnish sauna to be too stressful. The temperature average in a Finnish sauna is like 180 degrees. It's very high. In a near infrared sauna, it's maxes out at 120 degrees. So the Finnish sauna is not tolerable for people who seem to have severe weakness and severe disease issues. Whereas they can get into a near infrared sauna, they can get into a sauna space because it's more gentle. It's dry, so it doesn't have this oppressive kind of humidity inside. It's a lower ambient air temperature, and then also the light therapy is helping it out. It's making it less stressful. But by all means, if you don't have access to near infrared, then use that Finnish sauna. It's going to help you.
So Susan has a question. Does the single light panel also heat the area and pull out toxins, or is it more for localized healing and pain?
It's being used for localized relief of localized symptoms. It's being used for headaches, for aches and pains, for wounds, for skin issues, for gut issues, for even cramping issues, for neuropathy issues in the feet and the legs and the limbs. It's not doing a full body detox like the Sauna Space, the full sauna, where you have 4 250-watt lamps and you're sitting in an enclosed space. And the reason for that is we're not raising the core body temperature up enough to get this sweating. So if we're not doing, passive sweating, profuse torso sweating, we're not getting a full body detox. And we're also not leveraging the skin, as a detoxifier through the sweating. That's why we don't use the 4 lamps on the body on its own, really. We only use those in the sauna because we can leverage the skin as the ultimate detoxifier. But when we do just 1 lamp, and this is, by the way, come through field testing that's decades and decades old. This is not a new thing that I've come up with. I've made this awesome product to do this with, but this dates back, before the 50s. It dates back to the early 20th century, actually. The use of incandescent lamps to heat the body, and they were using just a 250-watt lamp on a local area to get that local healing. There is going to be some detox that happens, I think. You heat up those cells locally, and you feel it, but it's not full body, so it's not so dramatic and intense, and it is, something that's more localized. Although, again, as the example I gave, the V. Capaldi example, people are having systemic effects. When you heat the blood, you know, if you use this on your elbow, and you heat the tissue and the blood in the area, then that blood goes somewhere else and brings that heat elsewhere. So there is some full body benefit, even though it's primarily localized. So people are using it, though. If you can think of anything that's a problem spot that you have, or a problem area, whether it's a pain issue or a skin or a gut issue or just general gut health or whatever, this could benefit that. Yeah.
Well, Brian, thanks so much for joining us today. We've run out of time. If anyone has missed this hour presentation about near infrared saunas from Sauna Space, you can, as soon as we're done talking, the video will load on the Myers Detox Facebook page. We will also post this on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Wendy Myers. So, Brian, is there any closing statements you want to say, or anything we may have missed in our discussion about near infrared saunas by Sauna Space?
Wow, I think we hit most of it. You know, the rest is just the proof's in the pudding. That's why we have a free shipping. We offer 100-day product trial. So, you know, if you're wondering about near infrared, is this different, near versus far infrared versus the finished sauna, you have to try it out because it is totally different. And if you're ready for it, our new zero EMF product is the world's only EMF-free sauna, and it's really something else.
Yes, well, I love your product. I've been using it for years, and I highly, highly recommend it to anyone that's looking to detox their body, heal their body of pain and so many different issues, increase their energy levels, charge up their mitochondria. There's so many different benefits. I think everyone can benefit from daily infrared sauna use. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Brian. And if you guys want more information, I have 2 podcasts with Brian actually on the Live to 110 podcast that you can listen to on myersdetox.com. Just type in infrared sauna on myersdetox.com and you can listen to those. So everyone, thanks for joining us, and we will see you again next week, Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks so much for joining us. And Brian, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Wendy. Thank you for all the questions. Great questions.
Hey guys, talk to you next week.